My name is Christine Thomas. I'm a nurse practitioner. I currently am just recently retired as a vascular access specialist. I am also now doing vascular access consulting, and this is my story. I initially was not involved in vascular access as a pediatric nurse practitioner. I actually went to one of the hospitals in the Cleveland area and was working as a pediatric nurse practitioner. At that time, I came back to the hospital that I retired from, and I became known as the one who could start an IV in anyone. So I just would start IVs when they needed me. But what happened is there was this need for a line called a PICC. We weren't really doing them in our hospitals in the 1990s, but I heard about it. So I went and got trained. After several learning episodes and dealing with some vendors who were very wonderful, they asked me to go to a conference through AVA, because I would really learn more about vascular access, because I was concerned as what I was seeing being done by different lines and different patients. And sure enough, I went to AVA and I found a whole new world. A whole new world. Did not understand that this was actually a body of knowledge that was developing through research, and it was no longer just the way we do it. Now it was being based on what we were going to study and research. Coming back from that conference, I was so excited. I wanted to spread this excitement. I will tell you a little story about someone that, and I use this in my lectures, and it was a woman who was up on one of our specialized floor. Actually, it was skilled nursing, so rehab. And they had asked me if I could just put in one more IV because they just needed it for a few more days. Upon looking at the arm, as all of us vascular access people know, you knew I was done. There was nothing else. Her other arm couldn't be used because of previous mastectomy. She was about 82 years old. Her husband, who was next to her, married 60 years. She said to her husband, "Okay, I'm done, no more." I told the senior resident she needs a PICC line. I know these are new. I know you're not crazy about them. "Oh, no, she's only going to be here a couple more days." I said, I found out from her history she had been there 3 months on and off, and they were using the same arm for vesicant medications, frequent blood draws, and now they have pretty much depleted every vein she had in that arm to the point where it was blue. I took my IV and I handed it to the surgical resident and I said, "I'm done. I'm not putting one more IV in this person. She needs a PICC." And I did walk out. I later went up there, and at that point the woman wanted no more done. She wanted to die. And her husband was saying, "Oh, please don't give up now." She said, "I can't live this way." When I went back up to the floor 3 days later, I looked around and I asked, "Where's that patient?" because I noticed her bed was empty. I was afraid. They said, "She's standing right next to you." And I looked over, and here's this smiling, beautiful 82-year-old lady with beautiful white hair. She looked gorgeous. And I said, "Oh, I see they put the PICC in." And it is 3 days later, so she wasn't going anywhere. And she looked at me and she said, "I know who you are." And she let go of her walker and hugged me, and she said, "Please, please be the patient advocate for all of us. They don't understand how painful that is and how we need people like you," because I was ready to give it up. That was a big factor in my life. That changed my life, that I knew vascular access had to be promoted in most hospitals. I would say then, after that, I did tons of research on my own. I would read all the articles I got from, of course, JAVA. I would read things from INS, their journal, and I would just read whenever I got questioned, because more of the questions were starting to get to us, to me. And they'd say, well, what are we supposed to do about this? What are we supposed to do about that? And I would look it up, because a lot of times I didn't know. I didn't know the answer. It wasn't until 2010 that something really happened. I was starting to do some classes for our orienting nurses. It was a 4-hour class. Then the mandate by the Joint Commission came out that everybody had to be trained and educated on CLABSI prevention. And so we did put together a module. I helped the doctors from the main campus of this huge system that I was from, and we put together a module. But what we did notice after everyone saw this module, it was mandatory, it really didn't make a big difference. And that is when, in collaboration with Education Department, Infectious Disease, and Administration, we decided we're going to do something else. Modular education was not working. It was the click slide, what's the answer? They were getting nothing out of it. Put together a program that took us 10 months to arrange. It was an 8-hour class. It's 4 hours of didactic lecture, and the other 4 hours are all workshops. We only took 30 nurses at a time, and they became what we call the vascular access experts for their floor. They didn't put PICS in. What they did was promote best practice on their units. After we had done this for about a year, the results were better, 100 times better than we ever knew it would occur. There was a waiting list to get into these classes because the nurses wanted it so bad. And there was, the biggest impact was the CLABSI rates were plummeting. What did we include in this teaching? It wasn't just didactic. It was actually more of a, I tried to say, it was definitely the lecture, and it was the important information, but it was empowerment of the nurse, giving them the title of being the expert, the champion on their floor. As a result, they loved it, and they loved the feeling. The remarks were wonderful. They had changed practice on their floor. We gave them empowerment, engagement, and they were very happy with it. So all of a sudden, we couldn't supply the classes enough. We just couldn't. Everybody wanted to take it. The doctors were recognizing these type of nurses and asking for their assistant. I think what we need to do in nursing period is to give our nurses more credit. I think they can drive practice, and they can drive best practice when it comes to vascular access more than any other field. Collaboration is important, but to empower our nurses, engage them, get them the excitement, the passion, and they will respond. And I think that is why my NeoAva, my chapter, has grown from 50 members to 180 in a year. They have the passion, and that's my story.